Hey, hey, Twisted Sage here. Good rising. Capricorn sun still 19 degrees. I missed the Scorpio moon transmission. We're 1 degrees of Sag right now. Definitely was a little bit of a rough go. So we're still going through kind of the new alignment, and now there's even more new alignment, although they're inner planets, so they'll be a bit quicker. I think I spoke on it where, again, that moon being that trigger, it hasn't, it's going through all 12 signs, experiencing the new flavor of Jupiter and Saturn being in Aquarius. You know, when we had the grand conjunction, we also had the moon click into 0 degrees Aries right around that same time. So we've been kind of getting that new flavor. Well, Libra moon definitely was for me, it was physically stressful, triggering them kidneys. Now, the Scorpio moon was definitely quite interesting. I was going to go into work, but I decided I could just feel the heaviness of my body. I need rest. But I also needed to change the radiator in my vehicle here. So it wasn't when I spoke, so when the moon hit Taurus, all of a sudden my heater wasn't working. But the reason my heater wasn't working was because of the leak in my radiator, and I think I had spoken about that back when I was really wrenching on this fucker. And so, but I was talking about, you know, the Taurus moon bringing surprises. And it's because of its close proximity to Uranus. So it just turns out that luckily it was just that leak. So yes, I took the day off to handle that and rest. So I'm sitting there. It's later towards the day. I'd finished the replacement of the radiator, and I had to make a phone payment. I was waiting on my check to come in. And so I'm just finishing this call up, and it's right about the time that my son gets off the bus. No longer am I sending him to the home program. She decided to scratch that for personal reasons, so I had to put him back in public school reluctantly. They do force him to wear a mask, so that's not going to fly long for me. But anyways, so he's getting off the bus, and the bus stops, give or take, I don't know, 200 yards away from my house, maybe a little bit more. And I'm almost done with this phone call, and I hear my son scream out, and I'm like, yeah, bye. And I get up, I start headed over, but I see my son's, it's my son's grandpa's brother, but we call him uncle. And then his son out there, and he has his dogs out there. And they're medium-sized dogs, mutts from what I can tell. So, in the body language I see out of them, there's no urgency in their movement, as if my son was in trouble. So I don't, you know, it lessens my worries. And then, yeah, there was no, you know, maybe there was a slight moment where I wasn't looking, but there was no rush towards, you know, if you saw a dog attacking a child, you would run your ass off there to stop it. So, and Jaden was somewhat familiar with these dogs. You know, he doesn't play with them on a daily or nothing like that, but he'd been in good relation prior to this. Well, so I get up there and I'm walking up and by that time, like, so the dog circled me, didn't do nothing to me, but I kind of had this mentality, like, don't fucking bite me, motherfucker. Fucking, you're gonna catch a size 13. But it felt like uncle and cousin were kind of like hiding my son from me in a sense. They were walking towards me and Jaden was behind them. And so I go pick him up. I'm like, you all right, buddy? So I'm assuming Jaden was just scared. The dogs perhaps rushed on him and he just got scared and nervous. Well, it turns out, no, he got pinned up against the fence. He was trying to climb the fence. I don't know if it was more than one dog got him, but one latched onto his fucking elbow and one got him in the fucking knee. So I pick him up and I'm like, you all right, buddy? And he's like, no. And I like pulled up his sleeve and sure enough, he'd been fucking bit. Like, not to tear, but it definitely, you know, he wasn't pouring blood out of his fucking body. And so I'm walking him in, and he wants to go to Grandpa's house. So we have multiple houses where we live that are all family. And he wants to go to Grandpa's, so I'm taking him over, and I set him down, and he starts limping. And at this point, I didn't know he was bitten in the knee. I'm like, what the fuck? So, of course, now I'm starting to get kind of fucking angry. I'm like, okay, these are your dogs. You were standing right there. From my viewpoint, there was no urgency to stop them. And, you know, any fucking parent's going to be angry about this shit. So, and of course, he comes over to apologize, and I just got to get out of the fucking trailer. I'm like, I don't want your fucking apology. You know, proceeds to talk about how when he was a kid, his grandpa's dog latched onto him in the head. I'm like, all right, well, I mean, that doesn't make everything okay right here, right now. Like, and so I just have to leave. I don't want to let my anger fucking boil more than it is. So maybe I'm not going to go into the fucking finer details. So I made a post that pissed them off. Fuck it, go into the details. So I leave, I come back, and cousin's no longer there, but uncle is, and I kept it cordial. I didn't even want to look him in the eyes. And then I'm like, I gotta get out of this nonsense. So I leave again. And then I come back and I jump his shit. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You were fucking standing right there. You just fucking let this shit happen. And of course, you know, didn't have nothing, you know, I mean, no good-hearted normal person is gonna want their dog to attack anybody. I get that. You know, perhaps it was just as much a shock and surprise to them as to anybody. But when it's your dog, it's your fault. I mean, that's the way the shit rolls. So I leave, make a post. You know, and I called them cowards, but perhaps that was out of fucking line, out of context. You know, we all we react in anger. We don't really think most of the time within anger. So I have to be on the toilet and I'm just getting finished and I hear and cousin comes over and he's like, what the heck, dude? Why are you fucking posting shit? And I'm like, look, then of course I jump it. Look, dude, you just were fucking standing there while my son's getting fucking chewed up. What the fuck? Like, well, you want to fucking, or he didn't say fucking, he's like, you want to fight? And I'm like, And I'm thinking, of course, with the current air in the sky, I mean, full of air planets, I got a Mars in Libra, so that doesn't exactly like to jump to let's throw fists. Yeah, I had the adrenaline pumping. Perhaps I should have. I'm thinking about all the fucking scenarios. I'm thinking, well, all right, can I take him? Am I mad enough? He's obviously mad enough. Do I want to get my ass kicked? But is it the right reason, right time, right cause? And then my mom comes out. And she has no clue what went down. And telling me, kick his ass. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, this is great. And then Uncle shows up. And now it's becoming this. I'm like, and I'm thinking, no, now if I fucking swing, cops are going to get involved. And that's some shit I don't need. So, shit eased off. I dropped the post. But now let's get back into the astrology of the matter. Jaden's a Scorpio rising. The moon was in Scorpio. The moon was in his 12th house. 12th house typically isn't most don't see it as a pleasant house, although it is the house of spirituality. But it can also be that of psychic attack, hidden enemies, and hard to navigate. So Jaden's also a heavy 8th houser. Sun, Mercury, Venus. No, a South Node isn't in there. But that's enough that, I mean, when your sun's in the 8th house, you're an 8th houser. We already know from the past, Jaden lost his mom 4 days after his 8th birthday. The ascendant happened to be running through the current ascendant or rising, happened to be running through his 8th house, right on top of his fucking Mercury. So we got 8th house shit, we got fucking 12th house shit going. And then what we also have is Mars that just hit 0 degrees Taurus. Okay, so what's Taurus? Taurus, I mean, Mars is aggression. It's in its zero point is an Aries position. So we got Mars in a degree it likes to be, not so much a sign it likes to be in. But that was running through Jaden's 6th house, or is, well, obviously still currently in his 6th house. Your daily routines, reality. So he has the moon, Mars opposition, and moon oppose Uranus. Suddenness, things you can't predict that will go down and happen. The lightning events. So, there's that, it's not quite conjunct Mars and Uranus, but who's to say you can't give perhaps Uranus a few extra degrees in orb, because it's the planet of, not the unknown, but the things you can't account for. Either way, Mars is every day moving closer to that point. So the moon was in more opposition to Uranus than Mars at the exact moment. And I believe when it comes to animal bites, or attacks, you do look to see where Mars is. It was within the astrology as well. The 6th house isn't. Believe me, I live in the 6th house. It's not a pleasant place to be. It sucks. Of course, we can always make the best out of any shit situation as well. Yeah, I guess that's enough on that topic. He is all right. I don't know. His limp went away by the evening. He was happily moving along. Maybe he'll have a little bit of scarring on the knee, I'm thinking. Maybe but I mean, nothing we needed to go to the hospital over. I need to type to fucking press charges. The only other scenario is uncle has a niece that's right around 12, maybe close to 13. They also have another granddaughter that's probably not quite 2 yet. And of course, you've heard me talk about my mom's dog before. Shoe of the foot. Oh boy, would I fucking be getting a whole handful if it was one of our uncle's grandchildren. But again, it's not like they wanted their dogs to do what they did. Other things to note, this happened yesterday, pretty much simultaneously. Mercury entered Aquarius, exaltation. Some astrologers will argue that point, but I got a lot of Aquarius, and I have an Aquarius Mercury. So yes, Aquarius is exalted in Aquarius, and Mercury's exalted in Aquarius. That's ruled by air, so it definitely, Mercury likes to be in all air signs. And then we also have Venus entering Capricorn to my home positions. It's funny, yesterday I felt like crap, and my wrist is starting to feel better this morning. Like I was like, please come healing, please heal me. More so my kidneys, fuck. And if the kidneys start working right, then I've had these small revelations during yoga that my knees will be all right. Shoot, who says I can't multitask? Yeah, so if you're getting these brilliant downloads, you can thank Mercury and Aquarius. They said in ahas. Of course, anything in Capricorn's is looking for the long haul. Capricorn's probably the sign that most deals with the need to survive. But kind of neat, a little bit of a fade though. So yesterday, it was kind of like lights out. All the fire had gone from the sky, except for, Chiron and Juno. But Chiron, he's the man of woundedness, and Juno's your faithful badass bitch. So I don't know that she's in Sagittarius, he's in Aries, they're in trine, but that perhaps is showing the wounds in our spousal area of life, and or healing it, but it's not holding massive flame. Like if Jupiter was in Leo, like that's holding some fucking fire. So we got the fire's kind of out, but it's kind of interesting though. So yesterday I was feeling like, oh man, it's just, I feel like there's 60-year-olds that feel like they're in better shape or in better health than me, and there probably is, but I got, I'm running, have faith in I can't help but be a little bit skeptical, like, fuck, maybe I am fucked for the rest of my days. But I do trust the astrology. The astrology gave me the shit. Obviously the events of my life as well, but they're all intermingling. And Oh no, I'm feeling fucking pretty good this morning. And so yesterday we had like no fire, and now, well, the moon has fire. It's in Sag. So, and my progressed moon right now is in Sag. So perhaps, you know, illuminating me. Of course, it's illuminating me. But I feel like perhaps I'm more sensitive to moon transits. Not that we all aren't, but having the Cancer moon in its dignified. Moon in dignity, in its home position. But the fact that it's in Cancer, yeah, I feel like it's easy to throw a ripple effect through water, through emotion. So when I do feel sensitive to the moon's transmission and movement. But yeah, I guess my small rant there is that yesterday there was a real lack of fire in the chart. Now it's back. I'm definitely looking forward to Aquarius season. Oh, and hopefully the beautiful healing that's going to occur upon me. Namaste.